This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Mike Irwin from Pig Trail Nation joining us here on a Monday afternoon. It's kind of wild out there on the frontier right now, Mike, on a 3-game losing streak. Fans are upset. The media sometimes gets the brunt of their anger because, you know, you don't have a chance to talk with the coaches too often, so they come at the media. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Yeah, they're not happy over there, and I have noticed a real pushback by most of the media this week. I mean, we get accused of being too soft, but I think most of us understand when there's a problem, and it's our job to ask questions. You know, clearly they've got to make some changes, and this stuff coming out of the press conference today sounds really revolutionary. I don't know if it'll work, but if you're talking about moving offensive linemen around, putting Kudus at center and Limmer back at guard where he's more comfortable, but then the one that just jumped out at me is the possibility of Dominic Johnson at tight end. I mean, they've got one of the best tight end coaches in the country, and I was curious, even before that injury to Luke Hasz, why we weren't seeing other guys out there. It was almost like there was nobody else there that they trusted to catch the football. And obviously the blocking sometimes comes from the other side, but they haven't gotten good blocking from the tight end. But, I mean, Hasz was a key part of their offense. I mean, you saw what happened. They were moving the football early. He gets hurt, and it made a big difference. It really did. And they've got to deal with that for the rest of the year. So I don't know what it is about Dominique that makes him think he's a pass catcher or he can get open and do what Hasz did. I don't know. And maybe it's just something Sam Pittman mentioned. I'm not over there. But that is a kind of a radical solution. But I do think he probably realizes he's got to do something to get this thing back on track, or it's going to go even more south in a hurry.
It's shocking to hear, you know. But honestly, when you watch this last game and you know the struggles that there've been on the offensive line, both in terms of run blocking and pass protection. To hear the idea of, man, it almost sounds like wholesale changes on that offensive line. 5 weeks in Sam Pittman's 4th year, that is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and we'll have to see how it works out. And I'm talking about something I'm reading off Twitter because I'm not over there. I'll know more later on. But the big question at this point is real simple. Is this offense wrong for these offensive players? Did Sam Pittman screw up and bring in an offensive coordinator that runs an offense that they don't do well in, or is that offense being made look bad because of the sudden problems they have in the O-line? Somebody asked, you know, why these guys aren't more physical? Are they young? No, there's only one second-year guy on there, and that's. I think that's Kudus. One of those guys is just a second-year player, but he played in all 13 games last year, not in regular snaps, but on special teams where you do have to block on field goals, you know, extra points, things like that. The rest of these guys are all very experienced. It's not a small offensive line. You know, DJ Williams, who was a tight end for Arkansas and works with us on our game day show, he just has analyzed it over and over again, says it's technique. The technique is bad, and you would think that's where Pittman has to get in there and get involved and figure out what's causing those issues.
Yeah, for offensive linemen, you got to get a tie. You let our talent be successful, and as an offensive line, you got to get a tie, and you can only coach to what your players can do. Mike, when I look at this team. The team can run a little quick game. What do you see that this offense is good at, or what do you see going forward that this offense can do?
Well, it does look like that the slower developing nature of the offense is part of the problem. So obviously, I have to do some things to get it going quicker. But I would say, you know, if you look at what A&M did that time when they were on the goal line, and I don't know if it was a 3rd and goal or a 4th, but they were in a situation where they could have tried to run it over for the touchdown, and they just threw a simple out route over there in the flat. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes you can do that. I've talked a lot about what doesn't seem to be working is anything lateral, throwing the ball behind the line of scrimmage and then expecting. They worked on that a lot in the preseason. And I know that's a big part of what he wanted to do, but it's just not working. So, to me, I don't want to make this sound simpler than it is, but to me, part of being an offensive coordinator is go, that didn't work. This didn't work. Let's not do that anymore. Let's try these other things. And, you would think that with teams stacking the box and crowding the line of scrimmage and contracting inward, you'd have spaces out there that you could throw to. I don't think trying to throw deep is the answer because KJ just doesn't have the time to do that. But you can also see him looking, and it tells me that people aren't breaking open quickly off the ball. So that's an issue in that wide receiver room. How are they going to get these guys? I watched the LSU Ole Miss game, and it was like a study in offensive efficiency. Man, those quarterbacks were like 1,001, 1,002, throw the ball. Receivers were like off the line of scrimmage and immediately open, and it just went like that over and over. And you're just going, wow, and that's what happens when an offense works. So they've got to get their receivers open quicker. He's got to be able to deliver the ball quicker, and I do think there are certain plays like lateral or screen-type passes or runs to the edge that they need to just, get rid of. It's not working. And, again, concentrating. I don't mind sending one receiver on a play deep because you never know when somebody's going to break open, but that shouldn't be the focus of what you're trying to do because you don't have the offensive line to block for that kind of stuff.
Mike, I think a lot of the frustration in the context of this season specifically, and really for the last 3 games, is it's been something different each game. BYU, LSU, you got to fix the penalties. They fixed the penalties against Texas A&M. LSU, you couldn't stop them defensively. Well, you stopped A&M defensively in the second half much more often than not. You even have a defense that has scored 3 touchdowns for you this year. I think they have improved defensively. I think they're a lot better than they were defensively. It doesn't show in the record, and it won't show in the record until either the defense wins them a game or something happens like we're talking about, a little bit of a change in play calling or maybe how you line up that offensive line. But I do still think this defense gives you an opportunity to win games. Doesn't mean you're going to win them, but I think you can because your defense is better.
Yeah, they just have to have help. A lot of times, Arkansas has given up points this year because of poor field position for the defense, which was caused by the offense. So, I don't want to, again, minimize this, but I think if you even worked and improved that offensive line some, you're going to make a lot of the other problems go away. It's not just that the offense doesn't work. It doesn't work for a reason. It's because nobody's blocking. And that's the part that's just mystifying, but you got to think that Sam Pittman would roll up his sleeves, given the serious situation they're in, and just say, hey, this is what I'm doing right now. And I'll make these changes, and I'll work with these guys, and we'll make this work next week. I mean, I don't like the idea of going into, Oxford and facing somebody as good as Ole Miss is right now and having to, a bunch of new stuff going on. But I don't know that they have an option.
I wonder a little about the idea of, some people are, Sam Pittman's got to coach the offensive line. That's what he's good at. He was good at that for years before. Brian Kelly's brought in a defensive line analyst the week after he gave up 700 yards to Ole Miss to get another eyes on that defensive line. I don't know if that fixes it. I mean, is this the kind of thing where, I don't know if can you bring in an offensive line analyst and, maybe that fixes things a little bit because you get a fresh set of eyes on it? I don't want my head coach coaching the offensive line. He's got a big job to worry about. I just wonder where the fix is.
I know. Maybe that's what you just mentioned is the answer. There's been no evidence that he's done that, but it might happen. But I'm just saying this is not a normal situation. This isn't year 2 under Pitt. This is year 4. And he just doesn't have Yurichek's the only one that makes that decision. But, guys, people are accusing me of doing this and doing that. I only reflect what I see. I go to a baseball scrimmage yesterday, and people at the scrimmage are asking me who the next head coach is going to be. These aren't internet guys on there just demanding people be. These are regular fans. And I don't think it's going to happen, but, I mean, I can't say it's not. I mean, that's how serious this is with the fan base. I think they understand that over at the Boyle Center, but they need to. If they don't, this is not a normal situation, not normal in the 48 years that I've covered this program. I've only seen this kind of disappointment, in some cases all-out anger on the part of the fans. I've only seen that a few times. They weren't even this mad under Morris because they'd just kind of given up. They hadn't given up on Pittman, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, what is this? You know, they just can't believe that with a Sam Pittman coach team, you have this for an offensive line. It makes no sense.
Mike, yeah, with the offense moving forward, I did like. I mean, there wasn't a lot to like about the offensive game. I liked what I saw out of Cam Little making field goals, and I liked what I saw out of Raheem Sanders. It'd take him another week or so to be in that game shape, but I think that's a positive going forward that Sanders is back. Yeah,
that'll help. I mean, there's no question they missed him. And again, guys, it could be this isn't as hard to fix as you think. Maybe you have people that are uncomfortable in the wrong position. Maybe this is the answer: moving guys to where they fit better. And Pittman's looked at this and says, you know, that's not a good. I mean, I assume they talk to these guys, so maybe they're saying, you know, I don't feel comfortable at center. Or I'd like to be over here at guard where I used to play. I don't know what that is, but maybe getting the right people in the right spot and working with them can make a big difference. I mean, you don't want to give up on this season 5 games in. That's nuts. But yet people look at this and they don't see a fix. I don't know. I've seen fixes before, but I can't predict it. I don't know what's going to happen.
You know, all the things you just brought up, and it's all true. But man, I mean, these guys are basically with the football program about 12 months out of 12 months. Spring ball to me feels like you figure out who works at what position best, and then you got summer to kick it around. You've got your August camp to actually put it in motion, and if it's working, then great. But we even heard in the springtime, Mike, and you saw it at the spring game too. Tackles were getting dodominated by the defensive line.
Defense is ahead of the offense. That's what you kept hearing. It's like, well, they should be ahead of the offense early on. Well, still the defense is ahead of the offense, and the offense needs to come on.
What it feels like, Mike, that they've gone into the season with here, and this is 5 weeks before, was hope that the tackles and that the rebuilt offensive line was going to be better. But I don't know if they really believed that it would be.
Yeah, I'm not over there to see any of that. You'd have to be behind the scenes to know the answer to that question, but it's just puzzling. I mean, I've told people over and over again, when you do this as long as I have, you don't see anything new very often. You don't see things that surprise you because you just see so much. But this surprises me. It caught me off guard. I didn't expect it. Not with the offensive line. I mean, I knew they had some holes to fill, but I'm just thinking this whole off season, you know, Sam, he knows what he's doing over there. He's good. He'll get this fixed. And now it's not fixed, and so it has to be fixed quickly or the situation gets worse.
BetOnline is your #1 source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.